Hello everyone, I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and welcome to day 1 in my 8-day First Impressions Blind Buy week. Today I'm excited because fewer houses have shown more consistency and quality than the designer Issey Miyake. Really enjoy the Issey Miyake brand. Of all the houses that I have, that seems to be the one that seems at least to be the most consistent in highest quality of juice. Whether my expectations were either met or exceeded, at least I can say that really high quality juice. Whether it's something your nose liked or didn't like, you can't say that the juice quality was crappy. Issey Miyake is who I chose for my first day of our 8-day blind buy First Impressions week, and specifically Issey Miyake L'Odyssée pour Homme Summer. L'Odyssée pour Homme is a favorite of many, and the summer branding is... Now, one thing you'll discover when you actually go to do any kind of research on summer, L'Odyssée pour Homme Summer, is that there are quite a few. In fact, if you go to Parfumo.com, they actually rate them all the way back to, I believe, 2004, 2009. I'll give you a screenshot to actually show you. My coffee hasn't kicked in. So that's 14 years worth of coming out with one new bottle, new presentation, new smell every single year. So that made the choosing which one to purchase a little harder, or it made it a little bit easier. So each website, Fragrantica.com, which only goes back to, I believe, 2000, and screenshots keep me accurate. So that's why I use them. They don't go back as far as Parfumo.com does. However, still, it made it a little bit more difficult to choose which one to actually purchase as a blind buy. However, if you look at the rating system, Parfumo.com uses a 1 through 10 rating system, and Fragrantica uses a 1 through 5. So I'm going to show you the screenshots of each one from each website to kind of give you an idea. Now, this isn't something that you have to do. Blind buying is blind buying. You literally are just buying blind without any kind of gauge or rating system to go by, but this is what I chose to do. So it's just one way to do it, right? There's more than one way to accomplish what you want to accomplish in terms of blind buying. This is just one way. So I'm not suggesting to run out and do this, but I've done the legwork for you. I'm going to show you really quickly how I chose to buy. So here's the rating system for both really quickly. On Parfumo.com that it's all on one web page where you can just screen capture that whole thing that I showed you, and you can kind of go through each rating system and see which the users of this fragrance have rated the highest, at least those who actually refer to Parfumo.com and rate it on that website. Now on Fragrantica.com, it's a little bit different. You actually have to type in every time and go to the bottle that you want, and then scroll down and find the actual rating system, which isn't super hard. But as you can see, it is very clearly out of 14 bottles, 14 years, representing 14 bottles on Parfumo.com, 9.0 for L'Odyssée pour Homme Summer, the 2018 edition, and on Fragrantica.com, 4.57, very clearly 2018 edition is a clear favorite of users. So I chose to go ahead and purchase this one. Now you can choose to get any one that you wish. However, another reason that I chose to go for the 2018 edition is because, of course, that's just a year ago, and obviously it's going to be easier to find. Just a little bit of background information as to why I chose the 2018 edition. So something interesting that I noticed on the box, and apparently it's the design. As you can see on the very front, I'll show you, it's kind of cool. And on the very back, you've got kind of a, I don't know, it reminds me of not necessarily Art Deco, but it's kind of like an Art Deco-ish type of design. And on the very side, it says by Tirsa and Alice Oberon. If I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. But that must be the actual designer of the box itself, which is really neat. Now on the back, underneath the actual design, you've got product information there. And then on the top, there's really nothing. On the very bottom, you have your batch code, and I'll hold that still for a second if those of you that are interested in the batch that I purchased, and the SKU or barcode. One thing I really appreciate about the Issey Miyake design is that the bottles are all the same, very similar to other houses out there like Hugo Boss, and then just change it up on the actual bottle itself. Very much appreciated. Now, this is a summer or blue edition. So as you can see, the bottle itself is clear, and the lid is a little bit of a light blue. Now, very light, and I do really like that. It stands out not as a tremendous contrast, but as a little bit of a contrast, so it's very subtle, and I like that about it. I don't know if you can see it. I'll hold it up to the camera a little bit there. So that's the lid, and then you can see the design that is same that is on the box that is on the front of the actual bottle design. So hopefully the focus is enough to catch all the detail of that, which again is very cool. Now if you go to these websites and look a little bit closer at the bottles, I know I'll show you just a quick screenshot of each bottle that Fragrantica.com had used. You can get an idea that each one has different art on it, and that's really cool. Now if they're available out there, I'd eventually like to have the best of the summer edition line. For now, this is what we're going to go with today. So I really do like that bottle. As you can see, the bottle itself is relatively thin, and it's almost like a gradient. It gets a little bit fatter, going down to the bottom where it meets its greatest width. On the very bottom of the bottle, you have a light sticker, probably going to be hard to read, but it'll also have the batch code on it there for you. But nowhere on the bottle does it say summer. So summer is just the actual edition of L'Odyssée pour Homme. There are other editions of L'Odyssée pour Homme, as you well know. But the summer edition is what we're interested in. Why? Because we're in the summer months, or at least the summer months we're headed towards those summer months where a blue fragrance like this is going to be preferable over maybe a darker, more gourmand winter fragrance. And that's why we're talking about this as a blind buy and a first impression. So let's go ahead and get into that juice. As you well know, one of the primary differences between a first impression video and just a standard review video is we can't go into a lot of detail when it comes to longevity and projection. Which we're going to use a strip and we're going to spray it on skin today to kind of see what the differences in both are. So let's go ahead and take that substantial lid off. So you can see through the lid, it is transparent and it's on there pretty good. So, and that is one thing about all Issey Miyake bottles. Typically the lid clicks into place where you can hold it without fear of the bottle actually falling. Although I never recommend grabbing a bottle by the lid. If you happen to, drop it or come close to dropping it, you can grab it up by the lid and you're okay. So some of them, the lids are relatively loose. This guy you have to really manhandle to get off, which is good. You want your lids to, I prefer for my lids to fit snugly as opposed to loosely. So let's go ahead and get that strip out. Tester strips are funny. You can hold it by the fat end or the short end. It doesn't really matter as to, I usually hold it like that because this is a greater real estate, right? So let's try that out. Let's try our 3 pumps. 1, 2, 3. Wonderful atomizer, wonderful amount of juice. Really nice cloud of juice from this atomizer. Very fragrant. Wow, and that is a very, very summertime smell. Okay. Wow, I really, really like that. I can see why this rated so high. And I knew that I would like it going into blind buying this. Now, so there are certain blind buys where you're like, you're a little bit trepidatious because you don't really have anything to go by. It's nice to look at reviews and views, right? I didn't listen to any reviews on this, any YouTube reviews. I just looked at the rating system on Parfumo and Fragrantica and just get kind of an idea of what people thought. And I actually didn't read any thoughts in the forum themselves that were posted about what people thought of this. So again, completely flying blind here. Extremely pleasant, extremely light, very citrusy, very airy, very like ozonic, and very aquatic. So it's got a nice mix of everything. It almost ticks off all those boxes. I say almost because I haven't given it enough time, but just for my initial in the open, I want to spray a little bit more on there. In the open here, a little bit more fruit juice now as I'm smelling it. Leaning into it a little bit more. Okay, so I really, really like it. Let's take a look at the note breakdown and see what's in the juice. There really is a nice mix of fruits and spices. I do like the fact that since kiwi is in here, it's actually a note that you can pick up right away. In the top, actually, you've got grapefruit, you've got kiwi and coriander. In the mid, you have a really nice citrusy pineapple and nutmeg. Usually nutmeg is more in like a winter or gourmand fragrances, but it's doing something here. It's actually bolstering these citruses here, like on the back of the nutmeg. It's doing something really interesting that I can't quite put my finger on. But so yeah, that mid of pineapple and nutmeg is working really well. And finally, in the base, in that dry down, you've got cypress and vetiver. The cypress is a really nice woody green wood, and of course vetiver is definitely high in the register on the green side. It's very citrusy and it's very green. Now the citrus obviously comes from the grapefruit, it comes from the kiwi. Years ago I used to wake up every morning, slice a kiwi in half and just like eat it or puree it into a smoothie. Kiwi's an amazing fruit because if you like sweet and sour, kiwi's like the perfect fruit to eat. And that's kind of what gives this a bright, again, this is very high on the bright side of things. It's very, very green, very bright, very citrusy, very fruity. And that's the kiwi and the grapefruit and the pineapple are what gives the slight sweetness to this. But it's not a cloying or heavy-handed sweet. It starts off a little bit stronger, as all fragrances do in the top, but as it's drying down, a nice, even, bright green, citrusy sweetness. So it's almost a perfect balance of all those notes. A good 4 sprays. Now this is light, so I'm going to go ahead and make a recommendation based on just smelling the open. This is something you're going to be able to spray on as much as you want because it's not heavy-handed, it's not cloying, it's very light, it's very bright, it's green, it's citrusy, and typically fragrances that have that kind of profile or DNA, Issey Pour Homme Summer does, you're going to be able to not worry about how many sprays you put on. You can actually go hard and go heavy on this without clearing out a room. Have you ever done that little Bill Nye Science Guy type project where you take a plate, you fill the plate a little bit with water, not to where it's spilling over, but just enough water in there, and you take pepper, just regular table pepper, and you put a bunch of pepper until it's almost covering the entire top of the water, and then you put a drop of dish soap in it. And when I say dish soap, something like a liquid dish soap, something like Dawn, just put 1 drop, and when the drop hits the pepper, it completely separates. It's like when you were a kid, the way that you would present this to your peers was that, check this out, people are swimming on a beach, and so you pour the pepper in and look at all the people swimming on the beach, and suddenly somebody screams shark, and you put the drop of dish soap in the middle of the pepper, and it's like, people are running away from the shark. I don't know. As a kid, it was kind of cool and it elicited a lot of laughs. So if you haven't tried that pepper plate, little shark trick, that's something that you can do at home while you're self-isolating. Show your kids. People aren't going to like completely scram or leave the room when you enter a room wearing this, because it's not going to be really heavy-handed. It's a very light, a very semi-sweet, very citrusy, very green summer fragrance. In fact, it ticks off all the boxes to me for being the perfect spring and summertime fragrance. Issey Pour Homme Summer to me is representation of the best of a summer fragrance. It's going to be hard to find something better than this. Better as in different, maybe, in the next 7 more days of our blind buy first impression week, but really good start with the Issey Pour Homme. So extremely, extremely happy with my blind buy purchase. And again, I blind buy so you don't have to. So if you haven't gotten this already, it is the 2018 edition of Issey Pour Homme Summer. So make sure that you're getting the right one. I'll show you the graphic again. Make sure that is the graphic that you're getting. If you decide that you want this particular one, there's not going to be anything wrong with any of them. They're all probably fairly good. There's several that are higher rated over another. So if you want to check out Profumo.com or Fragrantica.com, if you decide the 2018 edition, you're making a fantastic blind buy, fantastic choice. Issey Miyake, Issey Pour Homme, hits it out of the park. Great summertime, bright citrusy green summertime, spring and summer fragrance. One thing too about Issey Miyake that I really appreciate is he keeps his costs down. Now the cost of this is really fantastic. You can get this bottle for just over 30 bucks. For the quality of juice that you're getting is a fantastic deal. Do get a lot of juice. Typical bottles are 100 mil. This is actually 125 mil. So you get that extra bit of juice in that bottle size. Is really nice, fits perfect in the hand. For the price that you pay, you can't beat the value of Issey Miyake, Issey Pour Homme Summer 2018 edition. All right, guys, that's it. That's going to wrap up my first impression on the first day of our 8-day first impressions blind buy week. Thanks so much for coming along for the ride. I really appreciate you stopping by and watching. As always, thank you so much for your support. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you in the morning.